The humming in the trees. When my cousin Cody and I were in our early 20s, we thought we'd seen it all: mountain trails, river valleys, high peaks under endless Colorado skies. But Erpo Forest, that was different. That was the one place I never went back to. We planned a midweek camping trip to dodge the crowds. The kind of trip that felt pure, quiet, untouched. Cody was the Eagle Scout, the guy who could pitch a tent in 5 minutes flat, and I trusted him with everything out there. Transition, camp setup, scene. We parked near a picnic area and hiked 15 minutes into the dense pine woods until the trees opened into a perfect clearing, 2 tents worth of space, enough for a fire and a folding table. The air was golden, the sun dipping low behind the ridge. We built a stone fire ring, stacked the wood, and lit it using one of Cody's fire starters. The Scout Cheat, he called it. Soon, the smell of seared steak and grilled burgers filled the air. Cody never went camping without cooking like it was a 5-star meal. We cracked open a few beers, played classic rock through a Bluetooth speaker, and for that brief moment, everything felt safe, simple, normal. Sound cue, a forest ambience, music fades. Then, somewhere behind us in the darkness, someone started humming. A low, almost tuneless hum, carried by the wind. Followed by soft footsteps crunching in the leaves. I paused the music. The sound was human. Slow, deliberate, too rhythmic to be an animal. Probably another camper, I whispered. Cody frowned. No one hikes this deep at night. He handed me the flashlight, but by the time I flicked it on, the sound had vanished. Tension builds, stick thrown. We went back to playing cards, keeping the fire small. Then, out of nowhere, a stick landed right in the middle of our campsite. Not dropped, thrown. We both froze. Cody jumped to his feet and yelled into the woods. "Whoever's out there, get a life." No response. Just retreating footsteps, fading deeper into the forest. My instincts screamed to pack up and leave. Cody insisted we stay put, keep the bear spray close, and sleep in shifts, one watching while the other rested. Nighttime scene, inside tent. Around midnight, it was my turn to sleep. I crawled into my tent, zipped it up, and lay there listening to the fire pop outside. At some point, I drifted off. Then, footstep. Right outside my tent. Someone knelt down. The faint glow of the fire outlined ahead, peering through the thin nylon window. I blinked, disoriented. "Cody?" I whispered. No answer. Just the silent shape of a head staring in. The zipper rattled once, then stopped. Whoever it was backed away, and I heard the soft crunch of footsteps retreating. Panic rises, confrontation scene. My pulse was racing now. I crawled out and scanned the camp. The fire was dying. Cody's tent was zipped shut. I unzipped it slowly. He was asleep. "Cody, wake up." He blinked, confused. "What's wrong?" "Someone was just at my tent." He shot upright, grabbed his bear spray, and stepped out to look around. Nothing. Just the dark woods staring back. We decided to share one tent for the rest of the night. As I grabbed my sleeping bag, that same humming returned, closer this time. It circled the campsite like whoever it was knew exactly where we were. We hid in the tent, clutching the bear spray, whispering prayers under our breath. The humming stopped. Then came the sound of branches cracking, slow, deliberate, pacing around us. Hours crawled by until the first light of dawn crept through the canvas. Morning scene, escape. When we finally stepped outside, everything was silent again, not even birds. The fire pit was cold, our gear undisturbed. But there, in the dirt just beyond our ring of stones, were footprints. Bare. Human. We packed up in silence. No music. No laughter. Just that eerie stillness that follows when you know you were being watched all night. It's been 6 years since that night. Cody still tries to get me to go camping. But every time I close my eyes, I see that head in the tent window, and I hear that same haunting hum echoing in the trees. I haven't been camping since, and I don't think I ever will. Outro, low wind / title card. The humming in the trees, based on true events. The thing in the pines. When my dad passed away, he left behind two things: a small inheritance and a cabin buried deep in the Oregon mountains near Mount Bachelor. It was meant to be a place of peace, for him, for my mom, but after he died, she couldn't afford to keep it. Before it sold, the cabin sat empty for a month. I decided to stay there. One last visit. One last goodbye. It was supposed to be a healing trip. It became the most terrifying week of my life. Scene 1: Arrival at the cabin. I packed my snowboard, food, cigarettes, and my dog Midnight. By the time I reached the cabin, snow was falling in thick, heavy sheets, the kind that swallowed sound. The cabin was 2 stories tall, old timber walls, narrow stairs, and a balcony facing the pine forest. It looked peaceful, untouched. The first 2 days were ordinary. I'd play fetch with Midnight in the snow, light the fireplace, have drinks on the balcony, and fall asleep to old music humming from the radio. For a moment it almost felt like I was healing. Scene 2: The footprints. On the 3rd day, the snow came harder, thick and endless. When I stepped outside that morning, I noticed footprints in the snow circling the cabin. They weren't mine. They weren't Midnight's. They were bare, like someone walking without shoes. I followed them a few feet before they vanished into the trees. It was still snowing, meaning whoever left them had been there recently. The nearest cabin was a block away, and both were empty. Every other cabin was over a mile out. I told myself it must have been a hiker, maybe a hunter, but deep down I knew no one hikes barefoot through a snowstorm. Scene 3: Hooves on the roof. That night, I was reading in bed when Midnight's ears perked up. He bolted downstairs, barking, then scratched at the front door. When I let him out, he refused to pee. He just stood in the driveway, staring into the treeline. Then his head tilted upward. He was looking at the roof. I called him inside and locked the door. Not even 5 minutes later, I heard it, thud, 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 slow, heavy footsteps walking across the roof. 6 steps, deliberate, human-like strides. I froze. Maybe a raccoon, I told myself. Maybe snow sliding off. But the sound, it had weight. It sounded like feet. Scene 4: The balcony. I grabbed a flashlight, a jacket, and my cigarettes, and stepped onto the balcony. The snow reflected faint light from the cabin windows, enough to see the rooftop. It was undisturbed. I lit a cigarette, trying to calm my nerves. The forest beyond the balcony stretched black and endless. Then, as my eyes adjusted, I saw it. Perched in a tree about 20 feet away was a man-shaped figure. Tall, too tall. 8, maybe 9 feet. Skin pale and stretched tight, limbs impossibly long. It crouched between 2 branches, holding itself steady with long, bony arms. Its face, if you could call it that, was just an open mouth, gaping, but silent. I stood there frozen, cigarette trembling in my hand. Midnight began pacing, growling low under his breath. The thing didn't move. It just watched. Every instinct screamed, "Don't shine the light." But curiosity is poison. I raised the flashlight. And it was gone. Scene 5: The tapping. I rushed back inside, locked the door, shut the curtains, and sat in bed clutching Midnight. Minutes passed. Maybe hours. Then came the tapping. Soft. Rhythmic. Fingertips on glass. Tap, tap, tap. It was coming from the balcony door. Midnight stared but wouldn't go near it. And then a voice, not out loud, but in my mind, something whispering, coaxing, "Open it." But then I heard my dad's voice, calm, firm, echoing in memory. "Fear the living, son. The dead can't hurt you." I stayed under the covers, shaking, listening to the tapping continue for what felt like an hour. I never opened that door. Scene 6: Escape at dawn. When daylight came, I packed in minute. Didn't shower, didn't eat, didn't even leash Midnight. We just ran to the car. As I pulled away, I looked once at the trees. The snow was untouched. No footprints. No sign that anyone, or anything, had ever been there. I sold the cabin a week later. I haven't been back to Oregon since. But sometimes, when it snows hard enough, and I see the pine shadows move outside my window. I swear, I still hear that faint tapping. Outro low wind / title card. The Thing in the Pines, based on true events. Perfect clapping hand. Now here's Chapter 3. The Craigslist iPhone trap rewritten in the same cinematic, documentary horror format, around 700 words, paced for a YouTube narration style with strong visual beats, ambient sound cues, and that Mr. Ballin / Mr. Nightmare tension, the marketplace trap. It started like any other online deal. I just wanted a new phone, a used iPhone 7, factory sealed, listed on Facebook Marketplace for $300. A perfect price. Too perfect. The seller's name was Melvin. He sounded friendly over text. Quick responses, polite emojis, even sent me a short video showing the sealed box. Everything looked legit. He insisted on meeting in the parking lot of a police precinct. For safety, he said. And that made me trust him even more. Scene 1: A night drive ambience. It was a Friday night, 8:30 p.m. My friend Martina came along for the ride, mostly because I bribed her with food after. We laughed the whole way, thinking it'd just be a quick pickup. An hour's drive north. But as we left the city, the streetlights faded. The roads got narrower, quieter, darker. No traffic. No stores. Just long stretches of empty woods swallowing the highway. Scene 2: The precinct lot. We finally pulled into the precinct parking lot. Rows of empty police cars. No people. No movement. We circled twice. No sign of a black Altima, the car Melvin said he was driving. When I called, he answered right away. His voice, low, steady, said, "I'm just 10 minutes down the road. My car broke down. Can you come help jump it? I've got cables." I hesitated. Martina shook her head. "This is sketchy," she muttered. But I didn't want to lose the deal. "Let's just drive past and see what's up," I said. He sent the location. A random pin on a pitch-black road with nothing around it. No buildings, no lights, just trees. Scene 3: The car in the woods. As we approached, headlights flashed through the fog. There it was, a black car pulled to the side of the road. Hazard lights blinking. Only there was no one inside. Martina whispered, "Keep driving." I did. We passed the car slowly. The windows were too dark to see through. Seconds later, my phone started buzzing. "Melvin, 3 calls in a row." Then a text. "I saw you pass me. Why didn't you stop?" We didn't answer. Martina nervously laughed to cut the tension. "You owe me food after this," she said. Scene 4: The diner. We found a small 24-hour diner 20 minutes away. 1 car in the lot. We sat down by the window, ordered coffee, and tried to laugh it off. Then the bell over the door rang. A man in a navy blue hoodie walked in. He sat at the counter, face hidden beneath the hood. Every minute or so, he glanced over at us. I leaned in to Martina and whispered, "Don't look now, but I think that's him." When the waitress poured him coffee, he spoke. Same voice. Same tone. "Thanks, darlin', Melvin." I signaled the server for the check in a hurry. As we left, I looked back through the window. He was already standing up. Scene 5: The chase. We rushed to my car and took off. In the mirror, I saw him exit the diner and head toward a black car in the parking lot. Same make. Same color. I hit the gas. The roads were empty, the night fog thick and gray. For a few miles, it felt like we were safe, until my dashboard lit up with a low tire pressure warning. PSI dropping fast. I pulled over and checked. The rear tire was slashed. Somehow, he'd done it, maybe back at the precinct lot. Maybe while we were inside the diner. Martina was panicking. I was trying not to. I swapped the spare in 15 minutes flat while scanning the tree line, waiting for headlights that never came. We drove straight home after that. No music, no words. Just the sound of rubber on asphalt and our hearts pounding. Scene 6: The aftermath. When I checked the Facebook chat the next morning, the listing was gone. Melvin's profile deleted. I tried to report the account, but it didn't exist anymore. It was like he'd never been there. Martina and I still talk about that night sometimes. We laugh about it now, but we both know how close we were to something terrible. If we'd stopped that night, if we'd walked into those woods, you wouldn't be hearing this story. Outro: soft static / faint phone notification sound. The Marketplace Trap, based on true events. Never meet a stranger where there's no witness to see you arrive.